So H2K really likes banning Azir. Quite interesting, they're banning against H2K, who's been fine on it individually, but Vitality as a team have not dominated when they played Azir specifically. But it really feels like H2K just don't want to deal with that champion, and they are on blue side in game 1. They can switch this up later and remove that as a potential ban. Swain, when you're on blue side, if you don't want to first pick Swain, you gotta ban it because you cannot give it over to red side with the flex pick.
And something that Team Vitality really does love to do is counterpick those lanes, so flex picks quite powerful in their hands.
And now with Xayah ban on Vitality's side, I think Caitlyn first pick, well, Vitality think the same, so they banned it away. I was just about to say it.
Instead, it is going to be the Rise taken away from H2K, of course, an incredible comfort pick for him. So curious to see what Selfie can do with it in his hands.
Yeah, this is an interesting first choice because Vitality have found a ton of success playing Rise themselves. The classic one we're going to talk about in-game is H2K pushes mid lane, then he roams on the Rise and he kills the enemy top laner. H2K can try and prevent that by taking Rise on their side early. Galio ban from Vitality, also one thing I want to highlight. Ever since their losing streak, they banned Galio effectively every game they played except for one because the other team banned it in that game.
Last time they played against H2K, H2K got Galio.
Yeah.
Selfie popped off. Vitality did nothing and got obliterated. But Vitality taking a much more defensive answer here in picks and bans. Picking up the Varus, strong early laner. Picking up the Thresh as well for Jack Troll.
I think the strong early laning is the key thing to highlight there. Vitality, they want to win the bottom lane. Most European teams do not want to touch Varus because they don't like playing around his one item spike very effectively. They feel like it can be difficult to fully utilize him as a champion. In the LCK, he's one of the most contested AD carries. I like that Vitality are doing this. I think they're saying early on, we can draft a bot lane that we can play around. We can draft a bot lane that if they get ahead and get Rage Blade on Varus, it can just carry the early game.
Incredible one-item spike to Fischio for sure. Going up against the Jhin, a pick that has kind of come into the meta more recently, of course, buffed over multiple patches now to be brought back into the forefront. But H2K kind of shaping up for an interesting composition as the Scion is locked in for Team Vitality.
A lot of interesting picks. Also some of the big ones like Ryze, Olaf, and Scion, of course, here in the first phase. Vitality can flex the Scion, can definitely go mid lane for H2K, and then play again around that bottom side, because they can be very effective coming down and setting up tower dives with this 2v2 lane. And due to that Tahm Kench ban on the H2K lineup, Thresh suddenly became a stronger pick. I want to highlight Morgana here, which was the answer yesterday to Thresh when we saw Rocket versus Splice. Vitality can't ban it away here in the second phase.
Of course, very nice to have against the Scion if he ever does manage to land that single engage. Hits multiple targets, is a little bit more difficult, but the old school Tormented Soil into the snare from Jhin, that was the OG Jhin combo right when he came out. We'll see if that's something that H2K want to go for.
Okay, so they do leave Morgana open on their side. Not sure if Promiscu wants to play it or not. I think that's what Vitality kind of looking at. Interestingly enough, with the junglers, Olaf is picked, and then we have the Zac ban. There are 5 junglers in the current meta that teams like to use. Sejuani, Zac, Olaf, Skarner, Kha'Zix. There's still plenty left for Gilius to play. He normally just likes to take a Sejuani whenever it's available, and in this case, even in the second phase, he can get it.
Defensive option does set us up for a final pick that could show us where the Scion will go. Vitality's still hiding the nature of their solo laners.
Yeah, definitely pick jungler here if you're Vitality. Save that last one so you can continue to flex the Scion. Skarner and, again, their Sejuani are the common ones. It's going to be Jungle Trundle.
Zernsei picks it up yesterday. Gilius looking to try his hand at it today. We have to wonder if this is something he's prepared and practiced for. There was a lot of hesitation locking it in. Maybe they're just seeing the strength of the pick yesterday and want to try it for themselves.
We'll have to see. We can talk a lot about that in-game, but specifically against Olaf, it does make a lot of sense with the Trundle and the Pillar. Let's see what we get from H2K. They got to blind pick the top laner because they don't know if this sign will go up there or not. Smitty J gets his Camille.
Interesting choice.
No tank for him, which is what we've seen a lot lately.
To be fair, Smitty J does love the 1-3-1 style, win your lane or lose the game kind of champions. And this could be a very different approach to the way bottom lane is being played. Thresh Leona, very tough skill matchup.
Morgana's still there. Taric is also there as a more defensive melee support. But I think from what we have seen recently, Morgana becomes the go-to choice against Thresh and his hook.
And of course, Camille with a black shield. Pretty impossible to deal with at any given point in the game.
Now I want to see if Cabochard wants to grab something crazy top lane. Fiora is here. He could try and take it into the Camille top lane in game 1 and say, you know what? We can play carries.
Ooh, mixing it up. Instead, he's going to take the Scion top lane. Not quite as exciting for Cabo. And Jizuke going to get the control mage in the mid lane. Taliyah versus Ryze.
And he had a really good game on this here towards the end of the regular season. Great wall placement. It's going to be one of these drafts where it's less about snowballing Jizuke, more about snowballing, in this case, mini true packs. There's a lot of early game power, especially on one item for the AD carry, Varus. And when you pick this Thresh here, you're also really saying that we can create plays around this bottom side. The Black Shield is here for H2K to try and prevent that from happening, and then they have SmittyJ on top side with the Camille. They can play around him. If he gets ahead against the Sion, Camille can take over the side lane, and we've seen that a few times already.
Not necessarily the attention we were expecting each of these teams to play. We thought it would be about mid lane. You heard it on the analyst desk. Jizuke, the all-star, you want to snowball. Instead, Jizuke now going to look to snowball that bottom lane if Vitality want to play it out as predicted. And SmittyJ on the Camille. Very strong pick if it gets ahead.
It's going to be a very good test here for game 1. Can H2K play around SmittyJ, even though they've left him on an island the last few weeks? And can Team Vitality play around the bottom lane here in the first game? Gilius on a trundle. It's a different style. Not the greatest early ganks he can pull off, unless you're going to a lane where you can set up some CC with the pillar. Let's say maybe a Sion ult straight into that pillar, and then suddenly you actually land some CC. It can work.
I want to see it. We were talking to Joko backstage a little bit, as he will be on the analyst desk later. He said, you just put the pillar over Olaf's axe. Just hide it inside the pillar. He can't pick it up. Yep. It's so frustrating. But here we are, folks. Vitality versus H2K. Battle to make it to semifinals. Who is going to come out on top here?
And this is the kind of matchup where it almost feels impossible to predict who's going to win. Yesterday, most people said Splice from the get-go. This one, I am seeing 50-50s everywhere. Bunch of people on Vitality, bunch of people on H2K. A lot of the players as well are debating back and forth. We heard yesterday from Kasing. He said H2K on his side. And that's gonna be interesting if he's actually right. I hope he's been scrimming them and he's like been very impressed with their performance. Otherwise, what does it really mean? Because no one really knows how teams show up on the big stage when it comes to playoffs.
Yeah, and of course, I think it's important that we look back at why some people might be doubting Vitality despite them being so far ahead of the standings. And it's a lot about recent performance, right? Because they did look so good in the first half of the split, but the second half, a little rough, and it's the exact opposite for H2K.
And that's why, again, it becomes so difficult to predict this, because people will look at a 6-3 H2K and say, wow, they must have been fantastic, but a lot of their wins were not very pretty wins. They would fall behind a lot, have to rely on the enemy team, giving them a chance to get a big late game team fight and then get back in the game that way. And obviously credit to H2K because they consistently managed to do it, but we did see teams who actually could get an early Baron, who could cleanly snowball, just punish H2K for falling too far behind in the early game. And Vitality, they have been the kind of team who can get early leads very often. We need to see if they can actually then finish the game. Once again, we're looking a lot at Jizuke roaming towards the bottom side with this Varus pick and see if they can actually get many true picks rolling.
And an early control ward placed here, potentially to shut down any mid lane aggression. Looks like it was Promise Q who purchased it, only going for a single pot in lane. So allow us to sustain if these trades go south, but a little bit more control here to stop Gilius from finding those roams to the mid lane in the early game.
Might grab Biscuits then for himself to get a bit of extra sustain, and Jizuke very quickly realizing, okay, there is a control ward because my own ward has been disabled. And he gets...
Now the ward works. Okay, so not quite working out as well as planned. Selfie not willing to play to defend that, but here comes Gilius into the mid lane, level 3. Selfie has to be careful here. Where is he going? Walking face first into Gilius. That's going to be the heal. Going into the enemy tower, not at all what he wanted. Red buff taking him down. There's the threaded volley and the first blood.
And he didn't even try and run towards Shook, who was fairly close to the mid lane. He just said, you know what, I'm gonna die here. Don't use the flash. Selfie getting surprised by an early gank from a very fast Gilius.
Actually connects on the bottom side. This lane very back and forth, but the mid lane, big error from Selfie. Not the kind of performance we've been expecting from him. We know Jizuke is an incredibly aggressive laner, but this isn't even about Jizuke playing well. Selfie just misstepped.
I mean, Selfie probably felt safe because Shook was on top side. And then Gilius just sneaks in around the corner, surprising him, and then instead of Selfie trying to get and flash towards Shook, he just decides to save it and he ends up going down. That's early first blood. Gilius, as we just talked about, early game, get Jizuke ahead and then make Jizuke the big playmaker who can go bot lane. And I don't think Gilius expected that easy of a first blood.
Yeah, and you don't really want to give Trundle early first blood.
He didn't even have to use flash or anything.
He's got all the summoners available. Selfie didn't use flash either, so that's the good news. Not likely to be vulnerable to another immediate gank, but Gilius is already going topside. This man is everywhere.
So let's see what happens now.
Moves in. SmittyJ gonna try to flash, looking to look for the hook shot into the wall, but no good option. Is he gonna make it out? There goes the Roar of the Slayer. Gonna try to get one more. Shook's here, but it's too little too late. He wants to keep the ball rolling. This is not a fair trade. He's gonna win.
Oh, we have to see this one again. It looked like Gilius managed to interrupt SmittyJ here when he tried to jump away, and this Trundle is going crazy. It's insane, actually.
1-0-1. Shook trying to pressure, but just spending a lot of time stopping the push. SmittyJ TP's back, so they'll keep the lane pressure. They'll force Cabo to stay. This is kind of what they want, but not a good start for H2K, Deficio.
Definitely not, and Vitality's early game always led by Gilius showing up. Let's see what happens with this gank. He flies in. SmittyJ tries to flash away early. What happens to when he tries to dash away here into the wall? Ooh, gets a nice little play from Gilius, and then suddenly, that's a kill. I see so many, Trundles normally just be like, you know what, get level 6, be super strong in the duels, or like at least if you want to do anything, it's like fight the enemy jungler pre-level 6, and that's where you beat the Olaf. This is a crazy ganking Trundle who just flies into lanes, gets 2 kills now for his solo laners, and Vitality are very happy with this start.
And when you think about it, this is exactly how Vitality like to play, setting up their solo laner success. Usually it's Jizuke. Jizuke then snowballs it into Cabo Shard's lane, but giving him an advantage has been so crucial for the team.
Exactly, and we actually might have to talk about this after, because Shook is running straight towards top lane.
Cabo Shard trying to make his way out. Predator has been popped. Sign is set to fall. Decimating Smash is going to connect onto one. Only going to hit Shook. Shook has to be careful, though. Once Cabo procs the passive there, the Death Rush may be more than enough. SmittyJ going to take him down and walking away.
But this start is insane. Jizuke's level 6, by the way. Gilius is bot side. They could go for that early play bottom lane we already mentioned in
And
Champ
look,
Select.
Morgana Black Shield is great, but it does not stop a wall. It does not stop a pillar from keeping your AD carry from escaping. There goes the ulti. He has blocked off Gilius. Sheriff spell him, but
he's
stuck
hit
in
the
the
wall.
wall. That's not what he wanted. Not going to get knocked back. Does manage to flash out to safety. A lot of pressure on the bottom side for Vitality, and here comes Gilius. Pillar already burned. Black Shield still on cooldown. They're going to look for an opportunity. Gilius quite tanky, but no level 6 to steal the stats. H2K are holding on. Jizuke in trouble, but he's going to live. Sheriff, not enough mana, not enough shots to bring home that one.
All right, Sheriff and Promise, you played that one really well. A lot of pressure early from Vitality. Selfie in the mid lane. He's still sitting on heal. Ideally, he wants TP, so you can try and match if the enemy Talia goes to the side lane. This one, he was still sitting with the heal, couldn't really roam with Jizuke, and that could have gone really bad for H2K, but they managed to actually dance around. Let's see that replay from the top lane first. Basically, if you're a jungler in this game and you go to a lane, you get a kill. That's what we have seen so far. No flash from Cabo Shard. Shook just runs up, free kill. Meanwhile, the cross map, and H2K, they know this is gonna happen, but they can't prevent it. Ryze can't follow. There's full vision control from Vitality on the bottom lane. In the end, though, they managed to survive. That was big. Could have been multiple kills over Vitality. A lot of damage on the turret. Gilius did grab himself the Inferno Dragon. Gilius, he's angry, man. Yesterday, when people didn't break Vitality, he was on Twitter instantly calling people clowns. This game here, he picks Trundle. He walks 2 lanes, and despite people not being able to flash away from a pillar and then, only lose a summoner, he gets 2 kills.
It doesn't matter. He got 2 kills. He started that lane snowballing. Camille going to have a much harder time, much less comfortable in this lane one-on-one. And already, you get that Trundle strong, level 6 rolls around, he steals all of those stats from the tankier members of Vitality. This is a good start for the team.
Yeah, and that's, again, let's talk about why the Trundle jungle is suddenly in the meta here in Europe, and specifically something we've seen against Olaf twice now. Xerxes yesterday introduced it, Gilius playing it today. The pillar against Olaf is fantastic, first of all, because he's the kind of champion who runs at you. You will have to use flash very offensively if you actually want to then do something. Another thing you can do with this Trundle here is you ult the Olaf and you put the pillar behind Olaf, between him and his team. The team can't follow. Olaf is left alone and he can't really get out, and you just single him down and you just destroy him instantly.
And this is something Vetius pointed out yesterday. Olaf usually going to go for the full tank build here, and you just drain away all those stats.
You get them stats for yourself. Jackal bot lane.
Black Shield does come out. Quite low, however. Hook gonna go in. He is gonna connect. He's gonna try to bring it back, bringing Mini Trupax in. Gilius is here as well. Jack Troll is in trouble. No level 6 comes out for Mini Trupax yet. Sheriff locked behind the pillar. Immediately they're gonna take him down. Maybe looking for one more here. Jizuke runs it in and takes him out. Shook on the way, but it's just too little too late. Vitality take it.
Such a good start. 2 times now we see Jizuke and Gilius go bot lane. It's all about getting this Varus and Thresh lane further. Shook is snuck into the brush here. Jacktroll is fairly low.
Level 7 as well.
He really wants to kill the Thresh early on.
No Predator.
Oh, he sees
True Packs. Walks
hey,
into the
wait
bush.
a minute.
Hey, surprise Olaf. Bro.
He wanted the support to really face check.
Yeah, was kind of hoping for the opportunity. Not going to get it. We can take a look one more time at this, how it played out.
All right, unnecessary binding from Promise Q, meaning there's no defensive tools from him other than the Black Shield. And the moment Jacktroll hits the hook, doesn't matter about him pulling Sheriff back. He just wants to fly in with him. No flash from earlier on the Jhin. And of course, Gilius and Jizuke shows up to make sure that they can actually get a bunch of extra kills. But this was all Jacktroll and Mini True Packs setting this up for the team. That's going to be a fairly early rage play coming on the Varus. That's going to make him even stronger. And Vitality, they're not going to stop. They're going to keep going
so
bot
well.
lane.
I mean, Gilius has been so active. We can see how it's affecting the team. Jizuke is playing incredibly well. 90 CS even in lane with the 1-0-1 scoreline. And you know what happens when Gilius ganks. We saw it in the graphic on the analyst desk. We're showing you guys again here. When Gilius is active, when he snowballs Jizuke, things go well for Vitality.
And that's where it all started. Him going mid. Then he went top. Then he went bot. Now he's gone bot again. Gilius is showing up big time in this first game, and it's important for his team. Meanwhile, top lane, Smitty J. Doesn't use the ulti this time around, but we're kind of looking at this in Champ Select of like H2K really wants the top lane to get ahead, Vitality really wants the bot lane to get ahead, and it is kind of working for both teams. It just feels like H2K's bottom lane is falling too far behind.
You're
too
right
fast.
in the sense that top lane and bot lane, but then also we look at mid lane, and mid lane also ahead for Vitality. Sitting quite comfortably on the Archangel staff now. Sion, you can hear the ult on the backside. Just going back to lane. And H2K looking to get something back, looking to grab some of these objectives in the early game.
All right, control that top side. Get whatever objective you can. Next Drake is also Infernal. That is huge for Vitality as long as they keep Mini True Packs on the bottom side. Is this roam number 3? Yes, it is. Selfie's still not with TP. He can't follow and help his team.
You can see though, Shook is playing around the top side. They can get the Rift Herald. Maybe they can look to trade 1-for-1. It would be Cabo alone under that tower as Jizuke has no TP, no way to get to the top lane.
Cabo Shot used ult back to lane, so he can't use it to get away now.
Cabo is going to be stunned up now, trying to run. Look for the Decimating Smash. Will not land because it does not matter. The unstoppable Shook going to bring it in as Vitality grab their first tower.
But due to that early lead from Vitality's bottom lane, they get the first turret for themselves. H2K trying to just copy it on top side. Both teams understanding how to actually win this early game, just on different sides of the map. So that's good to see, but it's Vitality still getting ahead in gold. And that first Infernal Drake can be huge for them. Rage play now completed at 11 minutes into the game. Big power spike from the True Pack.
And now how can Vitality use it? We've seen so many European teams struggle to play around this Varus when he is so strong. But if Vitality can do it here, it'll go a long way to helping them win out here in game 1. Playing around the bot side, kind of as expected, Officio, but you can see Cabo, this is the downside. He's left alone.
Yeah, I mean, if you leave a tank alone and the enemy mid laner, the enemy jungler can walk up to kill him, he can't really get out. Cabo Shot, as we said before, did use that ulti to get to lane. Had he walked, maybe could try to ult out when this happened, but it's so hard to say, and I fully understand him trying to get back to lane as fast as possible because he wants to avoid falling further behind. In the end, he goes down, turret drops, but H2K still lost the first turret down in the bottom lane, and they are behind, if we look at especially the 80 carries.
Now for H2K, playing a little bit behind here, but they're no stranger to this. This game actually much more active than what we've seen from them in the past. Very low in terms of early game stats. Not an incredibly active team. It's usually the late game where they start to come back, but Vitality have upped the pace, and H2K have responded in kind.
Exactly. It's definitely been the slowest and the weakest of the teams in the early game here in the EU LCS, and Vitality have been one of the absolute best ones. That's why we highlight that story of early game from Vitality against late game of H2K. This game here, Vitality can be happy that we get second Infernal.
They should get it, will secure it. Hook goes over, but Promise Q has the black shield.
And now they have the option to swap Mini True Packs and Jacktroll to top lane. Get that top lane tier 1 turret, and then the next goal is get the mid lane. Clear all 3 outer turrets. Next Drake, again, is also Infernal. It is the perfect game for you to have a Varus who's getting ahead early so you can keep playing around Drakes.
I've got to say, Vitality using the Rageblade spike well. Going to Infernal, knowing that they cannot be contested in a 5v5 team fight given the strength of their individual members. Smitty J, though, looking to contest Gilius at least a little bit here on the top side. Knows that he has priority.
We also have to remember, Shook is sitting with that Rift Herald. bottom side right now, if they do manage to get a kill on Jizuke, that's a free turret then. Jacktroll wants something mid.
Waiting for the Black Shield to fall away. We'll have enough time to make it out.
H2K and Vitality both sitting 2v2 mid lane. I think if you're Vitality, it's going to be easier for you to get a top lane turret with your AD carry than the mid lane. The wave is fairly quick to kill for H2K, and it's a lot harder to dive the mid lane turret than it is to set up a play on top side. So I think if Vitality really want to speed it up, they can put Min-Trubex top. But for now, they're keeping it as a 1-3-1.
Potentially have to respect the Rift Herald. You pointed it out. It is starting to fade away. About 30 seconds, 45 seconds to make sure that they can utilize this buff, put it in a lane.
Yeah.
And we've seen Rift Herald can be so good. It can help you get multiple towers, or it can be the useless one that charges into the tower once, dies, and then
Seen that a few times, definitely. H2K did not use it bot lane, because Jizuke killed the wave very quickly. So he might have to just put it mid at this point here. There is a chance for them to get a bit of damage with it, as the team is around the lane. If you look at otherwise for Vitality, we know that if Jizuke can actually roam from his lane and set up a big play. Ooh.
Shook.
That just ran out.
Hold that thought. Gilius now in trouble though. Rise is there as well. He's drained as many stats as he can, but it looks like he will fall down. Nice pickoff from the H2K lineup. Pull it back on the top side, but Shook doesn't use the Rift. Oh, does manage to use the Rift Herald on the bottom side right before it expires. Gonna have a hard time protecting it though, as KaBoShard is here.
Yeah, KaBoShard is gonna smack it in the head or in the eye, I guess, not in the head in this case. Gilius got surprised top lane. Vitality had not set up the top lane push just yet. By the time Gilius walked into the tri-brush, and he did not expect two members from H2K sitting there. It's a big kill for H2K, slowing down the game a little bit more.
Gilius maybe a little bit too confident. The vision placed earlier by SmittyJ when he had lane priority does pay dividends. But you can see the bot lane just a little bit late to the party.
And remember, the Lantern will not work as long as the Camille ulti is down on the target. You just get smacked into the wall of the ulti, and then you're not going anywhere else.
Basically stun yourself trying to escape. Rift Herald is here. SmittyJ is there to defend it. Roar the Slayer doesn't connect. That's a pretty big deal. Kabo can look to hit the eye and clear this one out.
Oh, Shook is around.
I do want to get it. Not going to be disabled, though. Nice use of the Unstoppable to make it out. Kabo not going to take any risks. Snare does connect. There's the follow-up. Curtain Call is coming in, but the Lantern going to take him right out. Now Jacktroll would look to make an aggressive play, but he backs off. Not going to get too crazy here.
Once again, both teams trading turrets. Top lane is where we have Vitality playing. Bot lane is where we once again get H2K playing around SmittyJ. The man is finally off tank duty. Gets to play a carry. Does not get perma-ganked in the early game like we've seen so many times already this split. And he's looking to be a big carry now on this H2K lineup. Top lane though, it is going to be Jizuke getting the turret. And I'm glad game one already gives us this very fast pace. We have Vitality always forcing plays. They're never playing slow games. And we have H2K trying to match it.
And you love it. H2K not going to sit back anymore. Not going to be just the late game team. Hook does go wide. Jacktroll fishing for an opening there, but it will not find it. We check in on the gold, Martin. 2 Infernal Drakes, big boon for Vitality. But in terms of raw gold numbers, a little less than 2K apart, about 1,500 in the favor of Vitality.
But 2 Infernals, which will only give them more value later on in the game. Of course, early it's fine, but it's late game where it really gives you the big bonus. And that next Infernal spawning, once again, Min-Trubex with the Rage Blade can be the one they actually use to start the Drake and look for either getting a free Infernal or force a team fight where your AD carry can be the strongest member.
If a single member of Vitality gets picked off, Morgana, the Camille, both very powerful, isolating individual champions, it will make it a much harder fight. Jizuke and Min-Trubex, both vulnerable Thresh. Not a great option to defend those champions against the likes of Camille, especially when she's empowered with the Black Shield.
Yeah, there's a good chance the team fights from Vitality will look like KaBoShard is the one zoning the backline of H2K plus the pillar from Gilius. But Gilius, Jizuke, Min-Trubex, and Jacktroll are all trying to hit the first target that comes at them from H2K. They have the Trundle ulti. Camille is not going to be that tanky. Same thing for Olaf due to Trundle. They can very quickly with Varus and, of course, Talia kill whatever target is in front of them. And as long as KaBoShard and the pillar from Gilius is keeping everyone else busy and making it hard for them to move around because of a lot of zone control, Vitality should be able to kill the front line.
Can they execute? We're going to have to find out if they even look for the fight. Jizuke, though, may have been caught out. Ultimate could come in from SmittyJ, doing good damage here. TP coming in as well. Shook now has to run. TP being traded for nothing, however. Wall comes in. Jizuke wants to keep the fight going. SmittyJ now running. Jackal over the wall. Hook gonna connect on the Olaf. Does pull him back into the team. Does not matter. Jizuke manages to grab a kill. Sheriff is running for his life, but here comes God Gilius. Where's the pillar? Not gonna find it. Vitality have to back off here.
What are they gonna try and catch H2K?
Flash forward. Can't get Sheriff. Does manage to take him out. SmittyJ now wants to look for the 1-for-1. Wants to get a little bit of revenge, but there. Nice. How do they do it every time, Deficio?
We have learned that in the EU LCS, you cannot try to 2v1 Jizuke. It will always end up in Vitality getting kills.
And you want to see the prize? It's not the kills, Deficio. Those are nice. But triple Infernal for the Talia. Double needlessly large rod in their inventory. This death cap is going to give so much AP.
This is so insane for Vitality when it comes to going into the late game. We saw in the bot lane here, SmittyJ moves in, doesn't manage to connect the stun initially, and Jizuke just walks into the brush, so there's no vision on him. That buys enough time, plus the knockback onto Camille, that all of Vitality just run down to the bot lane, and then they've already put themselves in a great spot to win the fight. This is the play, stun does not connect, Jizuke out of vision, and he gets a ton of damage on SmittyJ, and now all of Vitality can react from mid lane, plus TP, great wall from Jizuke. And this fight is already won before it even started. Do not try and 2v1 the Italian stallion.
He comes, he makes this work out so nicely. The cleanup here at the end is very good.
Again, do not try and 2v1 him. You just die.
Pulls him in, and SmittyJ, he does not have enough damage yet to just kill Jizuke outright in the duration of the Hextech ultimatum. And of course, Jack Troll, this is the strength of that thresh. You can see in the last fight. Guess who's the carry, folks?
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And he was also the one who got jumped.
But Deficio, we have to remember, Vitality, 3K up, triple Inferno, this is really good for them. Don't get me wrong, but H2K have been a team that have been very good at playing later into the game. What are their options now?
Typically now for H2K, they say, okay, Sheriff, it's time for you to carry on a strong scaling champion. He's on Jhin. That's not the same. Jhin is not the greatest late game fighter, especially not against tanks. And on the side of Vitality, we have Sion and Trundle. This is going to make it fairly difficult for Sheriff to be the one we're looking at, and we might have to turn our attention once again to SmittyJ and then Selfie on this rise. Because it's not the same kind of scaling on H2K as we've seen during the regular season. Another one for them has been abusing the teams that have messed up around Barons. And then they get a big fight that H2K wins, and they grab the first Baron of the game. But Vitality in this game here, they're so far ahead in terms of the damage they can deal with the 4 members. They should be able to set up the Baron properly with control wards and force H2K into a very bad fight. Like this Talia, 21 minutes into the game, has almost 500 AP.
470 with celerity and a bit of movement speed on the work ground. Gets some bonus as well, but near 500 to Sheriff. Has to back off here. Black Shield's so nice to have, but just does not interact well with the Trundle Pillar or the wall of Talia.
SmittyJ, though, keeps winning the bottom side, which has kind of been the story of the game for H2K. Baron, Vitality are around. They like to test the enemy team, start the Baron, see if they react, and if they do, they just back away instantly. If the enemy team turns to rush in and stop them, Vitality looks for the fight.
Interesting, though, they don't commit to stay.
I think it's so early on still that if you do commit and take damage from the Baron, it can be a little bit difficult. Also, Kabushad's TP is not available. So they have to kind of wait for that. And this buys a bit of time for H2K. But they're still triple Infernal scaling on Vitality side. They got time.
And I gotta love it. Look at Gilius' build, Deficio.
That's what they did.
I feel like we've seen this one somewhere before.
It's so effective for buff up your carry during the duration of your ulti and just kill whoever is right in front of you. And by the time you have killed then SmittyJ or Shook, you should be able to win the rest of the fight because you initially get the advantage by turning it into a 4v5 very quickly. So it is the super mega awesome Trundle ult, just made even more effective based on his first item build.
Yeah, we're an ardent sensor away from the Protect Mini True Pack strategy coming to full fruition. But you talked about Vitality wanting to play around the bot lane. I think if you've watched the league, you might be skeptical about the strategy because it's always been about Jizuke, but it's worked well. Even if Jizuke is still the one getting the kills, playing around Mini True Pack, setting him up to succeed does seem to be working for Vitality.
Yeah, Vitality's bot lane, they definitely did their job. Jizuke was the one obviously baiting around with that last fight, and you see another move around the Baron itself. Vitality know they're stronger at the moment. They would love to get a fight in this river here. Love to abuse the fact that H2K is insanely strong. 2 items here on Miniturbex, and they got the first item on Gilius to further buff that AD carry.
And Deficio, before the game, you were talking about some of the strengths of H2K. One of their greatest was playing around Baron, denying enemy team the opportunity to get Baron when they are in these kind of deficits. And that's going to be an important skill at this point in the game.
Vitality can start Baron to force TP from Smitty J and then just step away from it, or turn and fight. Capuchot's ult is going to be effective, and the Trundle Pillar is so good in these little narrow corridors.
Curtain Call comes out. Vitality
nice
to pull it through. Wall comes in. 3K and dropping. They are going to back off the Baron. Predator has been used.
They got the TP from Smitty J.
Advantage for H2K, though. They do get the tower. They are now tied up in towers. Gold League starting to shrink.
And they get the push in mid as well. All of Vitality have to take the long route around. So the fact they get this TP from Smitty J, they have to abuse that the next few minutes.
Now going in, Cabo keeps the fight going. Black Shield comes in, but it's a little bit late. Gillies already used the ultimate. The hook does manage to connect immediately. They delete Sheriff right back. The Olaf goes to the middle of the team. He's ticking down. Don't even need the auto. Flash in anyway.
That looked like H2K getting a free mid lane turret, but instead it was Vitality finding a fight here. Instantly, as they see someone walking near them, they take it, and Jack Troll lands the key hook onto Sheriff. That's going to be the Baron. It wasn't the way we initially thought it was going to go down. It's just them finding a pick, and H2K were actually the ones kind of staying around, looking for the fight as well. They're going to regret that decision.
It was so smooth up until that moment. They get a tower. Yes, they have to use TP, but they're pushing back and forth. They're kind of making sure Vitality can't secure the Baron, but one misstep, and Jack Troll finds the hook, wins the fight for the team, and this is kind of the performance I think he was looking to have on stage after last week.
And we got to see with the replay, again, the start of it, because H2K had forced Vitality off Baron. They were getting mid lane turret, and yet a fight randomly broke out. I think it was Smitty J that ended up starting it together with Capuchot, I guess hand in hand. They were like, hey, we're top lanes, we should fight each other. And then all of Vitality were like, great, we just lost the push in mid. If we can get a fight here, we're the stronger team. That would be perfect. And they actually got it. So now they get this Baron without having to do the fancy Baron dance the second time.
Find the pick, exactly what they want. You look at the gold, about a 3K difference between the teams. A lot of that is the 1,500 they get from Baron, but with triple Infernal, the additional AP and AD from the Baron as well. This is going to be a nice situation for Vitality. The siege going to start here on the bottom side. H2K want to make sure they can't get anything out of it. Gilius may be caught out here. Hextech Ultimatum does go in. Gilius could just get cut down. Looks like that will be the case as Shook managed to find a kill. H2K is here. Jack Troll is on the backside. H2K are just backing off, happy to just settle for the pick. Cabo, though, not so satisfied. Oh! There it is! H2K on a rampage immediately. The bars just locked them up. Smitty J now running for his life. Vitality are cleaning house.
H2K, he's so good. That wall he sets up blocks H2K from walking away, and suddenly Vitality find a giant team fight in their favor. This Talia pick has been huge for Vitality, and H2K, first game on the big stage, first playoff game for him in the LCS, and he's performing again.
6-0-3, 4 kills to 12.
That should be it.
7K gold lead. Deficio. Vitality coming in, looking to shut up all the people who would doubt them. Gilius had some strong words, but it doesn't matter because Vitality find the first game.
Vitality early game against H2K late game. It is the story of this series. Vitality, they strike first. They win the early game. When they had to play around Baron in the regular season, that's been an issue. In this game, they didn't even have to make it a fancy thing because they got a fight beforehand. Kind of gifted to them by H2K, and Vitality just destroyed him and take the Baron.
And one thing I love about Vitality is that every single member of this team is willing to make aggressive plays, whether it's the hooks from Tom Kench, the ults from Varus. Anyone on this team is willing to engage to get a fight started, and it clearly pays off there around the Baron. Jack Troll with the clutch hook, the team with the follow-up to get the Baron, and really just bringing it home to Deficio.
Exactly, Vitality. And of course, H2K will be happy with this one, but shout out to Gilius on the Trundle. The first 5 minutes was him just walking lane to lane and killing everything. Like, I've not seen that active of a Trundle in a long, long time, but that was a great start. That kind of enabled this playstyle of then H2K going bot lane over and over, while Smitty J tried to do his best on top side, but H2K will be very disappointed with how that kind of entire Baron play ended up being, because they technically did what they were supposed to. Force them off Baron, get a bunch of turrets, keep stalling.
Up until the moment the hook connects, it actually looked very good.
It looked fine, at least, for a couple of minutes. But then the moment they actually do give Vitality a chance to fight, Vitality are so aggressive. They strike instantly. They land the CC, they kill the 2 people, they take the free Baron, no chance of a steal. And then they walk down bot lane. Jizuke puts up a beautiful wall again. And smack, game is over.
And the chain CC, the Talia, and the Scion, and the Varus, and the Thresh. And you look at Morgana, and you go, okay.
Who do you want to black
Who do you
shield?
want to save? You get to pick one.
Yeah.
Everyone else is going to die every single fight. And that's what's terrifying about Vitality when they do get a lead. Now for H2K, support staff been praised a lot for their drafts. Now we have to see how they can do it keeping the teams together, because everybody expected Team Vitality to be the more emotional team if things started to go wrong. Maybe it's H2K now, though, who have to kind of steel themselves and focus up as the next game comes in.
Of course, I mean, good thing about best of 5s is you lose one game, and for most teams, it shouldn't matter. You just fully reset, you talk about what went wrong. In this case, H2K will now get side selection, so they can pick red side, which is what Vitality always wants to play, take that away from them, and then go into the same kind of game. And if they end up with identical drafts, like if it actually comes down to execution of it, I mean, we have to talk about the fact that normally Gilead should not get that great of a start. And then when H2K were supposed to stall, that's when they kind of initiated that fight around Baron themselves. So there were just some issues as a team that got completely punished by Vitality.
Absolutely, and I have to wonder what H2K are going to plan now for their next draft, because they weren't set up to play around Sheriff, right? And that's a win condition that we know works very well. Smitty J, a little bit less consistent, has had some all-star performances, but I want to see how they're going to change it as we move forward. Well, Vitality have started the series with a win, and for more info on Game 1, let's get over to Shox.
Thank you very much, guys. We're also joined here with Joko. Thank you very much for joining me. I do hear Medic over there faintly. Let's hope he doesn't interrupt the rest of our segment. Thank you very much for joining us, Joko.
Thank you. It's amazing to be here, and I will try my best to be one of the best analysts.
Oh, well, there we go. A tall order, but let's take a look at this first game, because Cold, we expected it to be a bit more competitive than the one we saw yesterday, and it was definitely explosive.
Yeah, so we have 2 very different teams from yesterday, today, and we have a team like Vitality that wants to really take charge in the early game, and that's kind of what we saw in this game with Gilius ganking left and right and Jizuke pushing mid and roaming. So it was really a well-played early game from Vitality.
So Joko, tell me about God Gilius and his Trundle.
I mean, this game he obviously showed to people that he was the best jungle, and I think here we can see that Selfie was a bit lost, because I think
confused.
Yeah, slightly confused. He should have been playing on Olaf's side, and here once more they know they have the information. Olaf is top side, and they are still greeting, and they're getting punished because of it.
Yeah, a great play by Gilius, and really putting the hurt on Shook early. So what is the key to this Trundle-Olaf matchup? Do you think it's a straight-up counter, Joko?
I think it might be good, because the thing is about this matchup, if you pillar the axe as Trundle, then Olaf need to get it, and if he can't, then he has no damage, basically, and in teamfight you can also block him with a pillar, so I think it makes sense. And yeah, it worked out pretty good for them.
It worked fantastically good for them. And when we talk about Vitality, Cole, this is kind of something we expect. Vitality being good early. It's what happens after that we have question marks about.
So basically going into the series, we were questioning, can Vitality close out the games? And I think they really shut down all the analysts that said they couldn't do it, because they actually showed very, very dominant play in the frame of like 20 to 30 minutes to close out a game when they had a lead. So we have to give a lot of praise to Vitality for how they execute the game.
Well, we also always talk about Jizuke, and if he gets a lot of help, or if he gets help from Gilius, he really unlocks the rest of his team. So let's take a look at the next fight. Good from Jizuke, but you said, no, actually, first it was bad by Jizuke, and he turns a bad play into a good one.
Yes, so what we saw here is that Vitality constantly had mid priority, but somehow H2K found an opening in the bottom side, but it didn't execute it fast enough, and then Vitality got to rotate bot and clean up after. So initially there was a good punish from H2K, but they didn't execute it at the start of it, and then it turned out to Vitality just collapsing and killing them, and then it's obviously going to look good for Vitality.
Yeah, Joko, what do you make of Jizuke, not only in this series, but how he's played so far?
I think he's, for me, the best rookie in the splits. He definitely showed to people that he could be one of the strongest mid laner in the split, and once more, I think this series is like, he not solo carry, but Kenda, because like you can see on displays, he would play them so much, and I don't know, this guy is definitely really good.
Super impressive as we look at this game, and the other guys we've been talking about, like Sheriff for H2K, we barely saw Sheriff. He didn't get a chance.
Yeah, I mean, the compositions kind of were two different ones. Like we have from H2K a comp that want to play more 1-3-1 and play on side lanes, where the Vitality comp want to just brute force as 5. And Vitality just had the control of the game, and we didn't really get to see H2K be enabled in the game.
No, and we didn't get to see them get to the point where Sheriff usually has a big impact, which is late game. Let's take a look at the game-winning fight for them. Vitality off a fantastic hook of Jack Troll. I gotta say, his fight for them, Vitality off a fantastic hook of Jack Troll. I gotta say, his Thresh was super impressive today.
Yes, and what we don't see in the clip where we only see fighting is that Vitality just forced Baron and forced the TP from the Camille, and that makes H2K be in a very bad situation because they kind of have to fight, else they will lose Baron when the Sion goes out to side again. So they were kind of on a timer here, and Vitality played it perfectly and punished them. And yeah, this is just where we have to praise Vitality for how they managed to close out the game.
So in terms of analyst predictions, Joko, a lot of people had H2K as the winner. I know that you believe in Vitality. Is this why you think Vitality is a stronger team today?
Yeah, I think it will be a 3-1 or 3-0. Not sure. And like on the paper, you can see both of teams, and my heart is for Vitality because I come from this, and also Kabosha is like I think a good player, and Gilius can make it good happen things for like Vitality, and he showed this game, and I think it will repeat it for the series.
Well, I think that's a good point, Gilius, because we hadn't thought that he would pull out the Trundle. He even threw some mystery in it on Twitter. He was like, oh, I didn't even know this was a pick, but it turns out that they have a lot in their arsenal, and that's what we were talking about with Yamato versus Veteran and Draft, who has the upper hand. It seems like for now, Yamato holds the ace.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Trundle came out like kind of out of nowhere. We haven't really seen it before, and it's interesting to see new picks. This is also why playoffs is so important. Like you see new picks like Trundle Cup. Do you then change your Olaf party that you have been practicing all week? Like, how do you adapt to this? This is where it's going to be interesting for me to see what is the approach from H2K going into the next game when they know that the Trundle come out. I'm still not 100% sold on Trundle being a super strong pick into Olaf specifically, but it looks good when both circuits played it yesterday and today. So. And
if it gets banned out, maybe Gilius can pick up a Zac or a Sejuani. So that's how it all starts. Joko, now looking into game 2 for H2K, for the players on that team, what strategy would you like to see? How would you like to see them draft?
I think I will choose red side because
they have red side.
Yeah, they have red side. So yeah, like you need to go red side and to counter almost every lanes and go for strongest lanes. And I think if you have a good comps and if you execute pretty well, it can work out. Especially Vitality is a team who play a lot of around mid, and if you shut it down Jizuke, everything will be easier. And I think they should look for that.
They should do that. A lot of people predicted this to go all the way to 5 games. Was the difference so big, or did it only seem so big because Vitality had a clean snowball?
I think they just had a very clean snowball. I think the criticism that I said that we had to Vitality, they showed that they can close out the game. So I want to see more from H2K, especially in the early game. Try to counteract what they're doing in the mid lane, because when you give the priority to Jizuke in the mid lane, then he's really good at using it to the sides, and you have to shut this down.
Well, we will see. Great start from Vitality, and coming up next, the most exciting set of rookies ever look to get one step closer to the semifinals as they gear up for Game 2 against H2K. Don't go anywhere.
What?